There was a time when the financial world marveled at the audacity of Charles Ponzi, a man who orchestrated one of the most infamous investment schemes in American history. He had millions of dollars at his fingertips and crowds of eager investors lining up, practically begging him to take their hard-earned money. Little did they know that Ponzi's entire business empire was built on a foundation of lies and deception. His outrageous scam not only made him incredibly wealthy, but also left thousands of innocent people in financial ruin. Ponzi's fraudulent scheme was so shocking and notorious that even now, a century later, his name remains synonymous with financial fraud. The term Ponzi scheme has become a permanent fixture in our lexicon, serving as a stark reminder of the dangers of unchecked greed and blind trust in get-rich-quick promises. This is the untold story of the man behind the scam, a tale of how one individual's insatiable appetite for wealth and status led to the downfall of countless unsuspecting victims. Born in Lugo, Italy, on March 3, 1882, Charles Ponzi came from a family that had once known prosperity. His father was a hard-working postman, and while they lived comfortably, it was a far cry from the opulent lifestyle enjoyed by Ponzi's ancestors. His grandparents and great-grandparents had been successful businessmen, merchants, and public officials, but their fortunes had dwindled over time. This stark contrast between his family's past glory and their current middle-class status deeply affected young Charles. He grew bitter and resentful, constantly questioning why he had to bear the burden of his family's financial decline. In his mind, he deserved to be born into wealth, to live a life of leisure without the mundane worries of work or money. This early sense of entitlement would later fuel his relentless pursuit of riches, no matter the cost. As a teenager, Ponzi received a modest inheritance following his father's death. His mother, harboring dreams of a better life for her son, insisted that he use the money to enroll in a prestigious college. She believed that education was the key to restoring their family's former status and providing Charles with opportunities for success. However, Ponzi's time at university was short-lived. He quickly discovered that academic pursuits held little interest for him. Instead, he was drawn to the allure of easy money in the exciting world of high society. Dropping out of college, Ponzi set his sights on America, the land of opportunity, where he believed his dreams of wealth and status could finally be realized. In 1903, at the age of 21, Charles Ponzi arrived in Boston with a little more than a few dollars in his pocket and grand ambitions in his heart. He was determined to make his mark on the world and prove that he was destined for greatness. But the reality of immigrant life in America quickly set in, and Ponzi found himself struggling to make ends meet. For years, he drifted from one menial job to another, always searching for that elusive opportunity that would catapult him to the top. He worked as a dishwasher, waiter, and even tried his hand at smuggling Italian immigrants into the United States. Each venture ended in failure, but Ponzi refused to give up on his dreams of wealth and success. It wasn't until 1919 that Ponzi stumbled upon the idea that would make him infamous. While working at a small import-export company in Boston, he discovered an arbitrage opportunity involving international reply coupons. These coupons, used for purchasing postage stamps in foreign countries, could be bought cheaply in some nations and redeemed for a higher value in others. Ponzi saw this as his ticket to riches. He promised investors astronomical returns of 50% in just 45 days, or 100% in 90 days, by exploiting this loophole in the postal system. The offer was too good for many to resist, and soon money began pouring in from eager investors looking to cash in on Ponzi's seemingly foolproof scheme. What his investors did not know was that Ponzi was actually using their money to purchase international reply coupons. Instead, he was simply using funds from new investors to pay returns to earlier ones, creating the illusion of a profitable business. This is the essence of what we now call a Ponzi scheme, a fraudulent investment operation that generates returns for older investors through revenue paid by new investors rather than from legitimate business activities. As word of Ponzi's incredible returns spread, the scheme grew exponentially. At its peak, Ponzi was taking in millions of dollars a day. He lived a lavish lifestyle, buying a mansion, fine clothes, and expensive jewelry. He became a celebrity in Boston, with newspapers praising his financial acumen and investors clamoring to get a piece of the action. But, like all Ponzi schemes, this one was destined to collapse. As more and more people invested, the amount needed to pay returns grew astronomically. Ponzi knew it was only a matter of time before the house of cards came tumbling down, but he was too caught up in the thrill of success to stop. The beginning of the end came in July 1920, when the Boston Post began investigating Ponzi's business. They discovered that there were not enough international reply coupons in circulation to support the massive returns Ponzi claimed to be generating. Doubts grew. Investors began demanding their money back, and the scheme quickly unraveled. On August 12, 1920, federal agents raided Ponzi's office and arrested him for mail fraud. The full extent of his deception was soon revealed. He had taken in over $15 million, equivalent to about $200 million today, from an estimated 40,000 investors. Most of that money was gone, spent on Ponzi's lavish lifestyle, or paid out as returns to earlier investors. The fallout from Ponzi's scheme was devastating. 6 banks collapsed, and thousands of investors lost their life savings. Ponzi was sentenced to 5 years in federal prison, but his legal troubles were far from over. After serving his federal sentence, he faced additional charges in Massachusetts and was eventually deported back to Italy in 1934. Despite the destruction he had caused, Ponzi never fully acknowledged the harm of his actions. He maintained that he had simply been a businessman who had made some mistakes, rather than a deliberate fraudster. In his later years, he even attempted to start new schemes, though none ever approached the scale of his original fraud. Charles Ponzi died in poverty in Rio de Janeiro in 1949, a far cry from the wealth and status he had so desperately craved. But his legacy lives on in the countless financial scams that continue to prey on unsuspecting victims to this day. The Ponzi scheme remains a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers of unchecked greed and the importance of financial literacy. In the end, Charles Ponzi's story is not just about one man's audacious fraud. It's a reflection of the timeless human desire for easy wealth and the willingness to believe in financial miracles. It serves as a stark warning that if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. The next time you're presented with an investment opportunity promising astronomical returns with little risk, remember the tale of Charles Ponzi, the financial idiot who scammed the world and left a lasting mark on the history of fraud.